Uganda, deep in the heart of East Africa. A land that has survived every empire that tried to break it. Often called the Pearl of Africa, Uganda holds some of the most breathtaking landscapes and rarest wildlife on Earth, yet remains a mystery to many. Few realize that the world's longest river is born here, flowing from the vast waters of Lake Victoria. And fewer still know that ancient kingdoms once ruled these hills, carving power from the land long before the world even knew their names. Beneath its beauty lies a story written in resilience. Independence came in 1962, but freedom brought its own battles. Conflict carved scars into the land and into the lives of its people, yet Uganda never stood still. Today, a new generation is rising, one of the youngest on Earth, over 45 million strong, carrying forward the songs, the languages, and the hope of countless generations before them. This is a place where half the world's mountain gorillas move through the mist, where coffee fields climb the hillsides, and where over 40 languages fill the air with stories of survival. Most of the world will never look closer, but if you do, you'll never see Africa the same way, ever again. These are the Wonders of Uganda. Kampala City. The historic seat of the Buganda Kingdom, and a city anchored by Mengo Hill, Kampala rises from 7 hills. For centuries, this has been a place where royal traditions endure beneath the pulse of modern urban life. Now a capital of over 3.6 million people, Kampala moves at a relentless pace. Markets spill into streets, taxis weave through traffic, and high-rises tower over colonial facades. Yet in the heart of the city, royal institutions stand firm. The Boulevard, completed in the 1950s as a symbol of restored self-rule, and Kabaka's palace, where the Buganda king still holds court. Overlooking the rooftops of Mengo, the Pearl of Africa Hotel stands 23 stories tall on Nakasero Hill. Opened in 2017, it was designed to signal Uganda's entry into the world of modern luxury, matching East Africa's grandest landmarks. Its glass facade reflects the shifting light of the city, a mirror of Kampala's ambitions to grow beyond its colonial past while holding on to its deep-rooted traditions. Below the hills, a Wino market stretches across 20 acres near the old taxi park. Hundreds of stalls brim with second-hand clothes and the scent of chapati, Uganda's beloved pan-fried flatbread. The Entebbe Expressway cuts a clean line south, linking Kampala to its airport and signaling a country pushing toward connection and speed. Kampala doesn't erase its past. It builds over, around, and alongside it. Bugolobi. Originally built for civil servants in the 1960s, Bugolobi was one of the capital's first planned estates, designed to grow with a newly independent Uganda. Many of its early residents helped shape the ministries that built the young nation's foundation. Just beyond the bustle of central Kampala, Bugolobi unfolds along sloping streets lined with weathered flats, corner shops, and gates tucked behind blooming bougainvillea. At the heart of the neighborhood, Bugolobi Market stretches beneath faded tarps. Baskets of maize and tomatoes stack high with the scent of sizzling Rolex. Egg and chapati rolled hot off the pan. Away from the market's noise, colonial-era bungalows hide behind hedges and new offices of steel and glass rise where factories once stood. Bugolobi isn't the city's showcase. It's where life fills the in-between, between work and home, tradition and change. Bwindi Impenetrable National Park. A tangle of ancient trees and mist-covered hills, Bwindi guards one of Africa's last untouched rainforests. Its name comes from the local word for dark place, a nod to the dense canopy that blocks out the sun. Hidden within this tangled forest are some of the world's rarest primates. Colobus monkeys flash through the treetops. Red-tailed monkeys dart along slender branches, and distant chimpanzee calls echo through the deeper woods. But it's the mountain gorillas that define this place. Nearly half of the world's remaining population lives here, moving through the mist in small family groups. Silverbacks lead, mothers cradle infants, and juveniles tumble between vines. Their presence is felt before it is seen. The soft thud of footsteps and the steady rhythm of life, hidden in the shadows. Jinja. Where the Nile begins its journey northward, Jinja grew from a small fishing village into a town that helped shape Uganda's history. Perched at the outlet of Lake Victoria, Jinja was once believed to be the true source of the Nile, a claim that drew explorers, traders, and colonial officials to its banks. In the early 20th century, British engineers built the Owen Falls Dam, taming the river's first rapids to power Uganda's growing cities. Industries followed: cotton mills, sugar plantations, railways, turning Jinja into a hub of commerce. Today, the town blends its industrial legacy with a quieter pace. Colorful markets sell fresh tilapia and sugarcane, while faded colonial buildings line streets that tilt toward the river. At the water's edge, the Nile gathers its force, not in a single spring, but in a wide, steady pull that carries the story of a continent. The River Nile. It begins here, not as a single spring or mountain stream, but as a wide channel pouring out of Lake Victoria. In Uganda, it's called the Victoria Nile, the headstream of the world's longest river. From the south, it carves a path northward, crossing forests, wetlands, and savannas, connecting life across an entire nation. The river flows through the town of Jinja, once believed to be the Nile's true source. From there, it drops over a series of rapids and into the wide expanse of Lake Kyoga before narrowing again, faster, deeper, wilder. Near the center of the country, it slams through a gorge just 7 meters wide at Murchison Falls, creating one of the most powerful waterfalls on Earth. Then it quiets again, feeding into Lake Albert, where the water expands, settles, and slips toward the border with the Democratic Republic of Congo. For centuries, the Nile shaped trade routes, nourished kingdoms, and connected communities from highland gardens to fishing villages. It splits Uganda nearly in half, geographically and symbolically. It is not just a river. It is a thread of movement, memory, and survival. By the time it leaves Uganda through the Albertine Valley, the river has already passed through plains and centuries of human history, and ahead of it lies thousands more kilometers. Murchison Falls National Park. Uganda's largest national park stretches across more than 3,800 square kilometers, where open savannas meet riverbanks, forest patches, and sprawling wetlands. It's one of the most biodiverse regions in the country, home to over 75 species of mammals and more than 450 species of birds. Once part of the Bunyonyi Kingdom, the land around here has long sustained local communities, even as colonial powers renamed and later protected it. Here, landscapes shift in every direction. In the south, palm-dotted woodlands. In the north, wide grasslands where Cape buffalo roam. And cutting through the center, a deep channel of water carves a path towards something extraordinary. Murchison Falls. The Nile narrows to just 7 meters, forced through a gap in the rock before crashing 43 meters into a frothing pool below. The falls thunder with force, sending mist into the air and shaking the ground around them. On sunny days, rainbows stretch across the gorge. On quiet mornings, the roar becomes a steady heartbeat in the distance. Uganda Highlands. Across Uganda's highlands, the hills are carved into green stairways, terraced fields built by hand over generations. Bananas, maize, and beans grow in narrow plots, anchored by volcanic soils and mountain rains. Villages cling to the slopes, where tin-roofed homes overlook valleys blanketed in mist. Footpaths weave between gardens and fields, connecting families whose lives are shaped by the seasons. For centuries, these highlands have been more than farmland. Traditions of cattle keeping, storytelling, and communal harvests continue, carried quietly from one generation to the next. Lake Bunyonyi. One of the deepest lakes in Africa, Lake Bunyonyi sinks nearly 900 meters below the surface. It was formed over 8,000 years ago, when a lava flow dammed a river valley and flooded the highlands beyond Kampala. The name means place of many little birds, and the lake is one of the few in the region free of bilharzia, crocodiles, and hippos, making it a rare and welcome place to swim. "29 islands scatter across its surface. Some are home to small farms. Others, shelter schools, guest houses, or stories passed quietly between generations." From a hillside above, Bird Nest Resort looks out across the water, its balconies and gardens woven into the slope. Just a kilometer from here, Overland Resort offers another quiet perch, tucked between eucalyptus trees and gardens facing the lake. The highlands surrounding Bunyonyi are scattered with villages and farms, home to the Bakiga people who are known for their resilience and deep connection to the land. For generations, they've carved terraces into the slopes, using simple tools and shared knowledge passed down through families. There are no waves here, no engines roaring across the surface, only a stillness that feels as deep as the lake itself. Kagulu Rock, where two roads split at the base of Granite Hill, a kingdom began. This is Kagulu Rock, where Prince Mukama, a leader from Bunyoro, is said to have climbed with his people and declared the beginning of the Basoga kingdom. Rising over 3,500 feet above sea level, the rock stood as a gateway and a witness, marking the moment migration became home. Today, its summit offers sweeping views of the Busoga region, but its foundation still holds the memory of that first ascent. Bukasa, the largest of Uganda's Sese Islands, Bukasa sits low and green in the waters of Lake Victoria. Dense forests cover much of the interior, sheltering monkeys, hornbills, and small farms carved into clearings. Bukasa was once a spiritual center for the Baganda people, who believed the island was home to powerful ancestral spirits. Traces of ancient shrines still mark the forest, hidden between thick vines and towering fig trees. Bukasa moves with the water, narrow canals, wooden bridges, and winding paths linking the island's low homes to the lake beyond. Kidepo Valley National Park. Hidden in Uganda's far northeast, Kidepo feels like a land untouched by time. Stretching over 1,400 square kilometers, its open savannas, rocky hills, and seasonal rivers create one of the most isolated landscapes in East Africa. Once a hunting ground for the Karamojong and Eek peoples, Kidepo was declared a national park in 1962. Today, wildlife moves across the valleys and plains, gathering near waterholes, disappearing into the dry riverbeds, and following ancient paths carved by the seasons. During the dry months, much of the land turns brittle and gold. Dust hangs in the air, and life presses close to the last pools of water. Few roads reach this place. Fewer visitors come. But for those who do, Kidepo feels like one of the last truly wild frontiers. Sipi Falls. High along the foothills of Mount Elgon, Sipi Falls cuts through the cliffs in 3 distinct cascades. The tallest fall drops over 100 meters, sending mist across the valley below. They have carved this landscape for centuries, nourishing farms, forests, and villages tucked into the hills. The name Sipi is said to come from the sep plant, a wild banana once found near the falls, believed by locals to hold healing powers. Narrow caves open to glimpses of the waterfalls, where water tumbles past cliffs draped in mist. Around them, coffee farms cling to the volcanic slopes, tended by families for generations. Each cascade moves differently. One spills in a thin ribbon. Another crashes in heavy torrents. Together, they shape both the land and the life that grows beside them. Mount Elgon. A giant older than Kilimanjaro, carved by fire and softened by time. This is Mount Elgon. Straddling Uganda's eastern border, it is one of East Africa's oldest extinct volcanoes, estimated to be over 24 million years old. The mountain holds one of the largest volcanic calderas in the world, stretching nearly 50 kilometers across. Today, Mount Elgon's slopes are covered in dense bamboo forests, open moorlands, and hidden waterfalls. The Sabaot people have long lived along these slopes, relying on the forests for herbal medicine, rituals, and shelter. In the heart of the mountain, the Kidepo caves hold one of Elgon's rarest spectacles. Elephants venture deep into the caves at night, using their tusks to mine salt-rich minerals from the rock, a behavior found almost nowhere else. Queen Elizabeth National Park. Once part of the Toro and Ankole kingdoms, this landscape carried centuries of human history long before it was ever mapped. In 1952, it became a national park, first named Kazinga, then renamed Queen Elizabeth 2 years later after a royal visit. Set between Lake Edward and Lake George, the park covers nearly 2,000 square kilometers of plains, forests, and crater lakes. Its savannas stretch toward the horizon, broken only by thorn trees and the occasional glint of water. The park has since become one of Uganda's most visited wildlife areas, home to elephants, buffalo, hippos, and a wide variety of bird life. Here, the land changes quickly. Open plains fall away to swamps, and hills rise where lava once flowed. Life moves with the shifting landscapes. Lake Victoria. The world's largest tropical lake stretches across Uganda's southern border, calm on the surface, powerful underneath. Lake Victoria covers nearly 69,000 square kilometers, shared between Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. It feeds the Nile River, anchors entire economies, and shapes the weather patterns of East Africa. On the Ugandan side, fishing villages cluster along the shoreline. The lake's history runs deeper than maps or borders. For centuries, it served as a highway for trade, migration, and connection, linking inland kingdoms with the distant coasts of the Indian Ocean. In some traditions, the waters flowing from Lake Victoria are seen as a spiritual lifeline, a living force carrying the memory of ancestors and the breath of the land itself. Rwenzori Mountains. Known as the Mountains of the Moon, the Rwenzori rise through mist and cloud along Uganda's western border. Rivers born from constant rain cut deep into the foothills, carving valleys where forests cling to the slopes. On the lower ridges, the Bukanzo people farm coffee in rich volcanic soils, tending small plots that have sustained families for generations. Harvested by hand and dried in the mountain sun, Rwenzori coffee carries the sharp, fruity notes of the highland earth itself. Gulu. One of the largest towns in northern Uganda, Gulu rises from wide plains, where open land and scattered homesteads stretch toward the horizon. It began as a colonial outpost and grew into a center of trade and governance. Decades of conflict left deep marks, but today, life reclaims the streets. The land beyond the town opens into farming villages, where traditional thatched huts, known as Ot Lobo, cluster in circles beneath mango trees. The people here live close to the land. Farmers tend groundnut fields, and old songs still echo during evening dances, tying past and present together with quiet persistence. Moroto. Where the plains rise into stone, Moroto stands at the edge of Uganda's northeast. Set against the granite slopes of Mount Moroto, the town grew from a colonial outpost into a center of trade for the surrounding Karamoja region. The mountain itself, one of the highest in Karamoja, shapes the town's climate, with cooler air and bursts of green amid the dry savanna. In the heart of town, markets spill into the streets where traders sell goat skins, woven baskets, and bundles of firewood. Elders wrapped in bright cloth gather under acacia trees, while motorbikes thread between shops and open-air stalls. Above it all, Mount Moroto rises sharply, its rocky flanks catching the morning light. Trails wind up its lower slopes, once traveled by herders and caravans long before the town ever formed. Moroto moves slowly, following the pace of the land, steady, enduring, and rooted deep in the highland soil. Lake Albert, where the Nile River exhales, Lake Albert begins. Set along Uganda's western border, this Rift Valley lake stretches over 160 kilometers. It's the country's second largest lake and part of the Albertine Rift, where tectonic forces shaped both land and water. Unlike the roar of Murchison Falls upstream, Lake Albert moves in stillness. Papyrus swamps line the edges, and fishing boats drift between inlets, following routes passed down for generations. The lake also forms a boundary between Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. But out on the water, national lines blur, and the Nile, silent beneath the surface, passes through it all.